The Book of Boba Fett, Episode 6. Hello everyone, I'm Joe Squared, and of course, it is time for another Boba Fett review. Now, obviously last week, we had Mando come in, and we got no Boba whatsoever. Everyone loved it, everyone thought it was a great episode. It was really cool to have Mando back, but of course, there was a little thing in the back of my mind, and maybe other people's mind, this show is called The Book of Boba Fett. There was no Boba at all in this episode. So this week I was hoping for his return because I didn't want to see him absent again. As much as I do want to see more of Mando and his stuff about the child, I did want to see Boba back. But unfortunately we see him very briefly. He doesn't say a word. He's just in a room when Mando is there, and that was it. Now before I talk about my overall problem with what's happened with the show in these past two episodes, I want to talk about the episode itself and how good it actually was. Now we start off with Cobb Vanth returning. He is of course the man that had Boba Fett's armor originally, and Mando got it off him. He returns and he deals with some pikes, but of course, you know, we do see that does come back to bite him later on in the episode. But in between all that, we were made aware last week that Mando does want to get in touch with Grogu and give him a gift and stuff, so he does travel to Luke's planet to find Grogu and whatnot. But what he does find instead is Ahsoka, who's sort of telling him that he needs to leave Grogu be in order to sort of, you know, stop the whole attachment thing, stop making him emotional, because she is aware as much as anyone how emotions can affect a Jedi, of course, with Anakin Skywalker. So she kind of wants to you know, persuade him to stay clear, and you know that was tough for Mando. And he does, but he does leave his gift to be passed on to Grogu. Now on this planet, Luke is training Grogu, which is cool. You know, we see him showing him the Force and showing him how to balance and jump and all this stuff, which is cool. But it also, you know, as you're watching it, of course, this leads to my overall problem, which I'll get to. It does feel like, why are we watching this now? But as I said, I will go more in detail with that later. But yeah, this whole Luke training thing was really cool. We got to mention with Luke that the CG for him, much better, and I didn't actually think it was that bad in The Mandalorian Season 2 finale. I know some people are like, oh, it's noticeable. Like, yes, it is, but here it looked very, very, very good. It looked really solid. It genuinely looked like they had a young Mark Hamill here. It was highly impressive. I don't know how they pulled that off, but really, really good. And you know, the voice and stuff, it was all very well put together, very well done, and it was cool to see him training Grogu. And you know, you also get a cool flashback sequence in there where he sort of opens and unlocks Grogu's memories, and you see him in the Jedi Temple as the clones are shooting Jedi and stuff, which was cool. It was cool to see that. It was a nice little flashback to the prequel era. Now after this, you know, Mando returns back to Tatooine because, you know, he promised he would help Fennec and Boba with their pike problem, and the fact that Tatooine is likely to be taken over. And you know, Mando says he thinks he knows some people that can help, and that's where Cobb Vanth comes in. He thinks, you know, I can go talk to Cobb Vanth, get his people to help me, because they helped me out with the Sand Dragon back in that Season 2 episode that you remember. Meanwhile, the Pikes have left a bomb in that bar that we see Boba go to a fair bit, which was, you know, it's a shame. It's a nice bar, I like the characters in there, but yeah, they blow that to shit. So obviously they're trying to show that they mean war, they mean beef. And once Mando has asked Cobb Vanth for his help and whatnot, you know, he goes on his way, and then a mysterious figure in the distance appears, and sure, at first I was a bit like, who is that? Is that like a Sith or something? Like, I mean, this probably wasn't going to be that, but that was kind of where my head went at first. And then I saw the hat, and I was like, oh, I think I know who this is. It's kind of been rumored a little bit. It's Cad Bane. Now, Cad Bane is from the Clone Wars animated show. He's a bounty hunter. He's badass. Everyone loved Cad Bane in the Clone Wars, so it's cool to see him live action. He's very, very terrifying looking, sharp teeth, red eyes, you know, sort of the vents, the tubes in his voice that, you know, give him that distorted voice sort of sound. He was really cool, and of course he does shoot Cobb Vanth, but I don't think he's dead. It was more of like a warning shot. You know, it's more to show that don't go against the Pikes, and obviously he's working for them, and he has severe beef with Boba. Then of course, to wrap the episode up, it's Luke, you know, giving Grogu an ultimatum here about whether to side with Mando, side with, you know, being a Jedi, because of course we find out that the gift is like a little chainmail Beskar armor, which is really cool. It's a shame Luke, well, I can't say, you know, you can have both, because a Jedi in Beskar chainmail armor would be badass. You know, he just wouldn't be able to get hit or hurt. But you know, it's that's where it ended. And like, yeah, it's a cool cliffhanger, but it feels like it's in the wrong show. And I've kind of spoken to Joe about this and, you know, some other friends, and, you know, we're kind of in the same thing where it's like, all this stuff that we've had in the past 2 episodes is really cool, but it's not, doesn't seem to fit, in a sense, with the title of the show, The Book of Boba Fett. The first 4 episodes were all about him, his story, his path, and it's almost like they wrapped it up too quick, in a sense, because obviously they finished his flashback sequences pretty much from how he got to, you know, out of the Sarlacc pit to meeting Fennec and taking over the palace and kind of all that stuff, but you don't really see all of it, in a sense. You know, you don't get to see him, you know, how does he track down, you know, Mando about the armor and all that. You know, there's still a little bit more flashback stuff, I feel like, that could have been done. And they just sort of like, they caught up to episode 4 and then they said, okay, now we're going to switch over. Now, like I said, whilst all this stuff with Mando has been really cool, it feels like we are watching Mandalorian Season 3. It feels like these 2 episodes could have literally just been saved for Mandalorian Season 3, and we could have carried on our story with Boba Fett. And if they wanted to bring Mando in, which I think would have been a good idea in order to reintroduce him, they could have brought him in episode 6 or 7, whatever, and just have him become part of the team. But the fact that they've just shown us him go straight back to Grogu, and, you know, give no screen time pretty much at all to Boba Fett, it feels kind of, I don't know, disrespectful sounds harsh, but it just feels like they kind of done Boba dirty here. I wonder if Tamura Morrison is cool with it, if he was like, yeah, that's fine, like, I don't mind, you know. I mean, like I said last week, this is not just a show about Boba Fett, this is also like a pivotal part in terms of like this whole post-Empire story, but it is also still called The Book of Boba Fett. I think it should dedicate the majority of the time to Boba Fett. It should be his story, and, you know, kind of looking back on it, I did really enjoy those first 4 episodes, and I thought each one was getting better, and I think they didn't need to do what they've done here. Don't get me wrong, I've loved what we've seen. I've loved that Mando's back. I like that we've seen more of Luke and Ahsoka and Grogu, and the fact that they brought Cad Bane in, and, you know, all this, but it feels like they're just actually throwing fan service at us, even though it doesn't fit the story that they were telling in the first place. It feels like they've just sort of gone, yeah, we know you're enjoying this Boba Fett show, but I know how to get you all even more excited. And they just threw all this stuff at us. You know what I mean? Like, it's not bad. I like what we've seen in these past 2 episodes, but it feels like it's too soon. It feels like it's at the wrong time. It feels like we've just been, you know, gifted all this stuff that we didn't really deserve yet, you know what I mean? Like, they could have kept us waiting a bit longer. I think they should have. You know, I think the hype, in a sense, for Mandalorian Season 3 will go down slightly, because it's not like we're going to be like, oh my god, it's been 2 years since we've seen Grogu and Mando and stuff. It's like, no, we've just been shown all of it in a show that wasn't meant to be about them from the start. I'm kind of wondering how they came about this in the boardroom, you know, when they were brainstorming. Did they just sort of think, whilst this show sounds alright, I think we should just give in to fan service here, otherwise we're just going to get fans comparing it to Mandalorian, which I understand, but at the end of the day, I think this show was its own thing for 4 episodes, and then it wasn't. Then it's, you know, now it's just bringing back all this old stuff, which I'm not sure it's the right time to do it. Obviously, I've gone off on a bit of a tangent there. I thought the episode was good, but at the end of the day, I think if they wanted to start reintroducing and teasing stuff, they should have saved it for the end of the show in a post-credit sequence, or right at the end. You know, you could have Mando, he's helped Boba with his problem, and then he says, yeah, I'm going to go look for Grogu now, I miss him. And then this episode that we've just had, episode 6, that could have literally been episode 1 of season 3 of The Mandalorian, but I'm conflicted right now. I'm enjoying the show, I'm enjoying all the episodes, but I feel like they've almost done a misstep here, and it's not the time or the place right now for what they've shown us. You know what I mean? I don't know, that's just how I feel about it. I mean, let me know if you feel any different, but it feels a bit odd, you know. Even it's already getting memed. You know, I'm seeing memes like, breaking news, Boba Fett to make cameo appearance in the Book of Boba Fett. Like, you know, it's his show. It's his show. And we all love Boba Fett. Boba Fett's been a character since he was first introduced in Empire Strikes Back. Why is he not getting the limelight, the spotlight for the entire show that is about him? Why is it going off on this little tangent And, you know, maybe I'm almost going back on what I said about my review, you know, for last week's episode. And, you know, I am in a sense, because I didn't think it would carry on this way. I really thought they'd bring Boba back for this and give him a more pivotal part. He was in this episode and didn't even speak. I hope next week they give him more of a screen time. They let him speak. I hope the episode is actually about him and everyone else is a sub character. You know, and it also applies to Fennec Shand. I kind of feel bad for her. She's been cut out, kind of, and you know, she was like the secondary character. And even so, in order to rectify this, I feel like they've got to, you know, now have him in Mandalorian Season 3 and other stuff, because it feels like now they're just trying to set up stuff. That's really what it feels like they're doing. It's like they didn't want to do setup in Mandalorian Season 3. They didn't want to start stuff there, so they're using the Book of Boba Fett as a way of setting things up for future projects, for future series. So yeah, I mean, I enjoyed today's episode, but I am conflicted on how the series as a whole is going now, based on this crazy tangent that they've gone off. I would give today's episode, however, an 8.5. I thought it was a good episode. I think it can sometimes be a little bit slow, maybe with the whole Luke training thing, but it is really cool. This was great. Like, there was loads of fan service here, but you know, I think the way I'm feeling about how the show has gone has put a bit of a dampener on how I'm feeling overall with the show, and I'm a little bit wary of how next week's episode might end, because like I said, I was really enjoying this Boba story. It felt very personal, and now it's feeling a bit Either way, that's just my opinion. I've been Joe Squared. If you have watched it, please let me know what you think about it, what your views are. How do you feel about how they've handled this? But yeah, do let me know, and yeah, I will see all of you in the next video. Bye bye.